For your maximum protection, view this video from beginning till end. In the next 24 minutes, you'll receive the insider secrets that can save you thousands. No matter where you live, be sure, be safe. Call the Diamond Vault. And, as you're sure to know someone who can use this information, pass it along to a friend. They'll thank you every time they see a diamond. The truth about diamonds. Protecting yourself from the dirty tricks, scams, and deception that can rob you blind.
Hi, I'm Chris Newman. Are you or a friend getting engaged? Buying a diamond? Well, look out, because for most people like yourself, it can become quite an ordeal. They simply go into it blind and end up paying the price in the end. In fact, we found 7 out of 10 diamonds are not the quality that you've been told they are. 7 out of 10. Even at some very famous stores. And with such an important purchase, something that you'll look at and live with for a lifetime, you don't want to become a victim of fraud or deception.
We looked everywhere. I mean, we went into every store, and I am sure that most people have no idea what they've bought.
I practically got taken with a diamond that was 4 grades lower than I was told. They tried to cheat me and then get away with it on a technicality.
We thought we'd be safe if we got it appraised. Turns out many appraisals are just worthless pieces of paper.
They try to sell me a diamond with 3 huge cracks in it, and then they try to hide them by plugging them up with filler. How would you like to look at that for the rest of your life?
Well, unfortunately, these horror stories happen every single day. But we're going to tell you how you can protect yourself. We're going to give you the step-by-step methods to help guarantee your safety. And of course, we'll also tell you how to find the most beautiful diamond for your money. Now, to do that, you're going to need expert opinion, because you'll have to have real insider secrets to help you with that extra advantage. After all, why should jewelers be the only ones allowed to know these valuable tips? So let's go ask the experts. Lucky for us, we have just the right men for the job. Now back inside where Dave Stadler has our experts standing by. Dave?
We're here with our experts, Howard Schwartz and Ted Mandel, who are going to give you that inside edge on how to save money, protect yourself, and get the best diamond possible. Howard, who for years served as instructor at the Gemological Institute of America, the Harvard of Gemology, and Ted, who has been called on by New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs to actually develop anti-fraud fact sheets on gem and jewelry issues. In addition to all this, these two also run New York City's Diamond Vault, a firm which supplies diamonds to jewelers and people like you worldwide. Gentlemen, you've got the credentials. We need your help. How do we begin?
Dave, I know it can seem complex at first, but we're going to make it easy. In about 30 minutes, those watching will have a lot more power when it comes to diamonds in their purchase.
Great.
Now, a basic knowledge of the 4 C's of diamond buying are essential to measuring value, and we'll take a few moments to review them. But first, a vital point. Gemologists mainly use the grading system developed by the Gemological Institute of America. The GIA is one of the largest schools and laboratories for gem analysis in the world. Not surprisingly, they have a reputation for being extremely accurate.
And that's important for us to know because so much is dependent on accurate grading. After all, how else would we know what we've bought? Now, tell us about those famous 4 C's.
Dave, the first is carat weight, which indicates overall size. 100 points equals a carat, and weight should be measured loose on a digital electronic scale, never in a ring.
Of course, because then you'd be measuring the gold as well as the diamond.
Exactly. Clarity is the degree that flaws are in the diamond. Now, nature made almost all diamonds have flaws, and the clarity grades tell us to what extent. It starts at flawless and goes down through imperfect, 1, 2, and 3. Generally, you can't see the flaws with your naked eye when viewed from the top, like in a ring, from flawless through SI2.
Wait, so the grades are more than likely as safe a bet as possible?
Yes, that would be a safety zone, because under normal conditions, your eye just can't pick up the flaws.
Good.
Now, as we go into imperfect zone, the imperfect zone, you can usually, in some way, see those imperfections. But even those can be difficult at first, without a magnifier to find them.
Howard, now each individual grade is important because that affects what our diamonds are worth, right?
Dave, a difference of even a single grade can be hundreds, and in many cases, thousands of dollars.
Wow, that means you could lose hundreds or thousands of dollars if you were misled by even one grade?
Right, and that's why accurate grading is so vital. And we'll tell you in a little bit how to be certain that you get it.
Okay, and what do these flaws look like?
Let's take a look. Flawless stones have no flaws when viewed under 10 power magnification. VVS1 and VVS2, or very, very slightly included diamonds, have flaws so small they're all but impossible to see, except by a highly trained eye. VS1 and VS2, or very slightly included stones, have very small flaws. If you're good with the loupe, you might find these, but it's hard. SI, or slightly included diamonds, cover a much wider range, from an SI1, which could be like this, to an SI2, which could appear like this, or like this. Remember, under most conditions, the flawed in SI stones are still not visible to your unaided or naked eye. Also, an important point, better SI2s can be worth a bit more than those SI2s which have more inclusions. Next on the scale is the imperfect category. I1 can be a flaw that's just possible to see without a loupe, but not that easily. I2s can have many more flaws. Often the flaws even break the surface of the stone. If you look, you can see these without the help of our loupe. And I3 diamonds are so heavily flawed that light may have difficulty passing through them.
That doesn't sound like a pretty sight.
No, it's not, Dave, and they can be borderline industrial grade. Rarely would we suggest you buy them.
Who would sell them?
As you might imagine, these low-quality stones often show up in items from mass merchants and on TV shopping channels, but we wouldn't wish them on anybody.
Frightening. You've got to be so careful.
Yes, but that's what's out there.
Well, the next of the 4 C's that we're going to investigate is color. And I feel color is important because it's something that you often can see with your naked eye.
Right. And how does the grading system for that work?
Well, color is graded on an alphabet scale from D through Z. The best stones fall in the colorless range and have that desired icy white appearance. Next are the near colorless. These stones also appear white in a ring, and they too remain a good choice for jewelry.
Eye color and above.
Going down the scale, diamonds become increasingly tinted, usually yellow or brown. And towards the bottom of the chart, the diamonds can look so second-rate, they're rarely used for jewelry at all.
I wouldn't want one of those.
Hey, one important point though. In rare cases, diamonds can be so tinted that they fall into the fancy yellow category. Something good. But don't believe this unless the diamond has laboratory documents from the GIA to prove it really is a fancy color and not the result of some artificial treatment.
Ted, I don't want to get fooled. How can we tell the color of diamonds just by looking at them?
Before you do anything, you must have the right conditions. First, you place the diamond loose, pointy side up, in a special super white diamond trough. It's much wider than just a business card. Then, only have fluorescent lighting in both the ceiling and desk lamp. Now, ask to have the stones, which have already been graded by the GIA, placed next to the unknown diamond. Compare them and look for a color match.
I see. By comparing them with diamonds the GIA has already graded, we can get a better idea of what color they are. Look, here, the one on the left is much whiter. That's a big difference.
And it's a difference you'd even be able to see as it's being worn on a woman's hand.
Well, the girls I know always seem to be holding their diamonds next to each other and comparing.
Though they might deny it, it's practically a sport. Some women can't seem to resist.
Okay, now that we've learned about carat, clarity, and color, tell us about the 4th C. Cut?
Diamonds are available in a variety of shapes. For example, the round, pear, marquise, oval, emerald, and princess. When we speak of cut, we're referring to the width, depth, and angle of the facets. It's actually very important because a poorly cut diamond could be worth less than half of an otherwise similar, well-proportioned one.
Less than half?
Yes. You see, if it's cut too deep, light can leak out of the sides, making the stone appear dark. But if it's cut too shallow, then light passes out of the bottom, giving the diamond a washed out and glassy look.
Well, how do we judge a diamond for cut?
The fancy shaped diamonds, such as the pear, marquise, princess, and so on, can be quite individual in their outline and proportions. But round diamonds tend to look best when these proportions fall within certain parameters. To better measure this, we look at the table, which should generally fall between 56 and 65% of the stone's width. And the depth, that should be between 57 and 63% of the stone's width. The crown angles shouldn't be greater than 35 degrees or less than 30. But remember, much of this really comes down to your personal taste. You'll be wearing it.
Sure, we mustn't forget the hand that'll be wearing it. Now, Ted, I've often heard the phrase ideal cut tossed around. Does it apply?
Well, the GIA eliminated this term, ideal cut, because they felt one set of proportions shouldn't be branded ideal. You know, Howard and I feel cut is so important that when we buy diamonds, we reject more than half for failing our standards of appearance and proportion.
Wow, I'll bet you have tough tests you make your diamonds go through before selling them to your clients, but one thing, jewelers who don't have these strict standards can end up selling the ones that you reject to the people watching at home. They can end up with substandard diamonds.
Unfortunately, I found many jewelers are not as picky as we are, and as a result, the innocent people buying these diamonds can come out on the short end.
Well, with the help of this video, let's hope we can stop that. So how about a quick review?
100 points equals 1 carat, 75 points equals 3/4 carat, 50 points equals a half, and 25 points equals a quarter, and so on. Clarity measures the degree of flaws in the diamond. It goes from flawless down to imperfect. You usually can't see the flaws with your eye from SI2 and above. That's usually a safety zone. But in the imperfect zone, you can begin to see the flaws, sometimes quite easily without having to use the magnifier. Color is graded D through Z. The best stones are colorless and icy white. Next are near colorless, also a good choice, though eye color and above is preferable. Below that, diamonds become visibly tinted, where you can notice the yellow or brown with your eye. Stay away from them. Cut refers to the width, depth, and angle of the facets. The table should be between 56 and 65% of the stone's total width, depth between 57 and 63% of the total width, and crown angles shouldn't be greater than 35 degrees or less than 30 degrees. Of course, much of these factors involve your personal taste.
Okay, now gentlemen, we've all heard of problems in the diamond world. In fact, I even saw ABC News do a hidden camera report where they were lied to and deceived so badly they lost $9,000 doing the story. If it could happen to them, then for sure it could happen to us.
Dave, unfortunately it can and does happen, but it can be stopped. You can protect yourself.
ABC did lose $9,000 buying diamonds, and it was pretty ugly.
Ted, we're lucky you're here because you've done work with New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs to combat fraud. Help us.
Every single day, normal people like those watching are lied to, and it was no surprise when it happened to the undercover reporters. They were told they were getting white diamonds, generally assumed to be G color, but when they had them analyzed, it turned out they were closer to O or P.
That's 7 grades lower, possibly worth thousands less.
Yes, and when they tried to sell them back these very same diamonds, the sellers who originally said they're white now practically laughed and said they're brown. We found misrepresentation to occur in about 70% of all cases. But misrepresentation of color and clarity is just one of the trouble spots. ABC also had one of their diamonds switched from a high quality to a lower one.
That's everyone's nightmare.
Sure, they lost thousands of dollars, but there are still more ways that people can be taken. Ways you might never imagine. Diamonds are already being sold mounted in rings, and that can conceal nasty flaws and mask poor color. People are being given bad magnifiers that are so out of focus, it's practically impossible to properly see the flaws. Another one is the painting of diamonds with chemicals that can make the stone appear several color grades higher. And when it wears off, you could be left with a very yellow or brown, unpleasant surprise. In the trade, they call this painting trick a Picasso.
That's outrageous.
But there's still more. Jewelers are selling diamonds with huge cracks that have been plugged and filled with undisclosed foreign substances, often without the buyer being told.
Wait, how? Phil?
Yes, fracture filled. But beware, some fillers can turn yellow or black over time. Also, they're not tolerant of certain forms of cleaning, and with the heat of a jewelry repair, they can burn, melt, or even drool out.
Wow, I never knew about this. Why are they even sold?
Well, We feel the main reason is that jewelers can make higher profits with stones that before were difficult to sell at all.
Could you imagine someone getting that as an engagement ring?
The problem is, often the buyer isn't even told or doesn't realize it. You see, instead of calling these plugged or filled stones fracture-filled, the people who sell them usually allude to them as clarity enhanced.
Now that sounds like a dirty trick. With a name like that, it sounds like they're better than normal diamonds. What does the GIA have to say about that?
They call them adulterated and won't even grade them. You see, they don't know what grade the diamond was before the cracks were filled.
The filler has hidden the stone's real characteristics.
Exactly, Dave. There's another scam that is so common and so deceiving, it practically makes it impossible to properly judge a diamond you're looking at.
Don't leave that one out.
Well, you might have seen this one but never realized it. Deceptive lighting. Those spotlights in the ceiling, they're so bright that poorly cut or off-colored diamonds seem to come alive.
See, that's not fair. They're just doing it to fool people.
You're right. We found them at local jewelers, malls, jewelry exchanges, department stores, even the most famous Fifth Avenue jewelry stores in the world. And no matter where you see them, I can say just one thing. Hold on to your wallet and get out of there fast.
Ted, I've seen those lights everywhere. What's a person to do?
You can protect yourself, but often the seller's not going to help you do it.
Well, how can we make it?
Well, first, the seller should state on the receipt the color, clarity, and carat weight of the diamond using GIA terms. Then, you need a hired gun. In this case, a qualified gem laboratory.
How do you pick one?
Dave, you can't skimp here. You need the best. We like the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, and the IGI, International Gemological Institute, because they've proven to us to be the strictest and the most consistent. As we've mentioned, the GIA invented the diamond grading system, and the IGI has been called upon by the Smithsonian to evaluate some of their gems.
Well, those are some pretty good credentials. Are there other labs?
Yes, I'd say too many, but often they're inaccurate and produce official-looking documents that aren't worth the paper they're printed on. Also, unfortunately, some can be in cahoots with the jewelers selling you the diamond, and you can really be misled.
Then why should we settle for second best? How can we use these top labs?
We believe a diamond should go to the laboratory twice before you pay. Twice.
Twice?
Yes, twice. Double verification. First, loose before the stone is mounted, where it can be analyzed to see if the color, clarity, and other factors are as promised, and then again, after it's put in the ring, to see if it's the same stone, and that it hasn't been switched, and it hasn't been damaged.
Can diamonds be damaged? I thought they were the hardest substance.
They are the hardest against scratching, but they can be chipped when being mounted, and that could lower the grade several levels, meaning you could lose a whole lot of money.
Hey, wait a minute. I see what you're saying. It should be checked by the lab twice before I pay, because if they only looked at it before it was in the ring, we'd never know if it was damaged or switched while being put in the ring. In fact, if I checked it after I took it home to the jeweler, he could accuse me of switching or damaging it.
Exactly. In fact, for the utmost in protection, we have our clients pick up their ring directly at the GIA or IGI, and only then make their final payment.
Now that sounds foolproof. Have the GIA or the IGI hand me the ring directly, then pay.
Yes. Why should the average consumer simply accept being put at risk? They don't have to.
You're right. They're spending their hard-earned money. They deserve protection.
And for people who live far away, we still give the diamond in twice to the laboratory, before and after it's mounted, and then send it directly to them, all fully insured.
Checked in the lab twice, then you send it directly to the buyer, all fully insured. Now that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and there's no reason why everyone watching should settle for anything less.
Okay, great. Now, another important subject. How much do we pay for a particular diamond?
Well, first, you might have heard of spending 2 months' salary as a general rule. I think this is ridiculous. It's a personal decision. Spend only what you feel is right.
So you don't love her more by spending more. It's what's right for you.
Absolutely. Now, a diamond's value is made up of a combination of those 4 C's that we went over. And by understanding them, comparing, seeing stones under the proper conditions, and only with double verification protection, Then I feel you can best judge the value.
Again, you need that double verification protection to make sure of what you're getting.
And another important point. Diamonds are valuable and they can be worth a lot of money, but all too often the price you pay has little to do with the cost of the actual diamond.
Not only that, there's the jeweler's expensive rent, plus money for salesmen and their commissions. Even the cost of that deceptive lighting can add on to the money you end up spending for your diamond.
You mean all of that overhead is silently eating into my purchase? It's not just the stone, the color, the clarity, cut, carat weight.
That's correct. Jewelers don't like you to know it, but if you get closer to the source without those expenses and middlemen, you can save real money.
Well, that's the way I'd want to go. Ted, Howard, you've for years helped newspapers, magazine, even network TV in their work to combat fraud. Can you directly help the people watching too?
Not to put in a plug for us, but yes.
Please do. You're doing them a favor.
Well, we can help these people get exactly what they need. They just have to give us a call.
That's fantastic.
It's actually simple. We have clients all across the country and around the world, and they're all just a phone call away.
So, people can contact you and you'll go to work searching and supplying the proper diamond.
Yes, exactly.
And what about the ring?
Dave, it took years, but we've assembled a crew of some incredibly talented designers and craftspeople. I mean, fine quality, not the ordinary commercial stuff you might find at a local jeweler or at the mall. So now those watching can have a beautifully designed ring that's also surprisingly affordable.
So, people can get your expertise on a diamond along with true quality and value without the sales pressure, plus get a fine quality ring and save money too.
That's how we work. And all of our diamonds must pass our demanding triple selection process. First, by our gem professor, who spent years teaching at the GIA, and then twice more at the laboratory before it's delivered to our clients.
You know, I'll bet that 95% of people watching would never get that double laboratory protection shopping in a regular jewelry store. I mean, they're spending all kinds of money and not getting that protection. Hello?
Well, we originally came up with the idea when we were developing protection guides for New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs. It's really given the consumer true power.
You're giving them double protection. Everybody wins. Gentlemen, we want to thank you for giving us these insider secrets. I'm sure glad I know them before I buy my diamond. And for those people watching, here's some words for people who've just been through searching for their diamond.
The way I see it, I saved about $1,400 by working with Howard and Ted.
Yeah, after we did the jewelry store thing, we'd been to the malls, but it was impossible to see under those tricky lights. I had enough. I called the Diamond Vault.
If you're lucky, you might even be able to get Howard and Ted to get you your diamond. I did.
You know, not one place offered me double verification protection using the GIA, not one. It wasn't until we called the Diamond Vault. Howard and Ted had me pick up my diamond ring direct from the GIA, and it was only then that I make the final payment.
She loves it. The ring is beautiful. All her friends love it. In fact, they're jealous. Howard, Ted, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just call it Diamond Vault.
Hey, the way I see it, you can go all over, you can spend more money, you can get a whole lot less, or you can call the Diamond Vault. It's a no-brainer.
The stone they got for us was just gorgeous. They're a real class act.
It's a pleasure to work with them. They made us feel so comfortable. You should call them right away. You'll see what I mean.
In addition to your engagement ring, the Diamond Vault offers a full selection of diamond bracelets, earrings, necklaces, pendants, and custom designed pieces for all of your diamond needs. Be sure, be safe. Shop at the Diamond Vault. And pass along this valuable video to a friend. They'll thank you every time they see a diamond.
It was great. They walked me through everything, step by step.
Proper gemological conditions, truth in diamonds, they're the best.
And clients have found Diamond Vault #1 in customer service, #1 in total customer satisfaction, year after year.
Their service is second to none. I couldn't be more satisfied.
Why have number 2 or 3 when you can have number 1 and get more?
And now you can get your diamond direct from the Diamond Vault. Just dial the toll-free Diamond Help Hotline, 1-888-USA-DIAMOND. That's 1-888-USA-DIAMOND.